Destiny 2 was my most played game of my entire life, probably besides Pokemon, but I've never really been much of an MMO kind of guy myself. The idea of signing in daily to play something to chase my dailies and whatnot, it kind of annoyed me at first. I could never really get into that mindset. It always just came across as like a second job to me, but then Destiny would release and it was Halo, but with space magic. And then my eyeballs wanted to shoot out of my head due to how cool it all was at first glance, but needless to say, I ended up playing a lot of Destiny. I have many unforgettable experiences with a franchise, but once the final shape came and went, I officially moved on. I didn't play the episodes, I didn't play Edge of Fate, I have no idea what was going on in the later seasons, and now with Renegades coming out officially, I'm still very skeptical. Is Destiny 2 still worth playing? What's going on behind the scenes? Has Bungie officially lost the plot? I want to delve into all of this and more. So like I said, Renegades is out as of this video going live, and yet I am not seeing many people talking about this at all, especially during its pre-release. In case you don't know, Renegades is a weird elevator pitch. It's a Destiny expansion that is also Star Wars themed, but it's set within the world of Destiny. And from what I understand, does not use any Star Wars characters, but just the ideas and the concepts that originate from that franchise. So yeah, there is lightsabers, for example, in the game now, and ATSTs, but they're not called those because it's Destiny, and there's also criminal syndicates like Jabba the Hutts, but Jabba isn't in the game, so it's basically a Star Wars expansion without, let's say, Yoda or really something else just kind of showing up. Who knows? Maybe Boba Fett will just show up in the expansion at some point. I don't know yet, but either way, it is a weird expansion idea for a few reasons. Firstly, because Star Wars as a franchise has been so utterly defeated by Disney's moronic decisions that they've driven the Star Wars fanbase into complete apathy. And secondly, now that apathy-ridden franchise is now being forced into Destiny, another franchise like Star Wars that is also full of apathetic fans as well, myself included. To be honest, this sort of expansion would have likely been legendary levels of hype back in, say, 2017 when Star Wars was still something people really cared about, but in 2025, this is seemingly getting the response of audible groans more than really anything else. As 80level.com says here, that Bungie has even admitted that they're having a seriously hard time getting any new players to even join Destiny 2. The game director of Destiny 2, whose name is Tyson Green, fully admitted that the majority of Destiny 2's player base now is only the veteran players. But when it comes to your game being a live service, this is effectively the worst possible scenario because newer players obviously are just not willing to jump in. Here's what Tyson Green said to IGN. For years now, Destiny has been on this steady hardening of the core audience. More and more core players are staying and playing the game, but relatively few new people come into the game. There's a tightening and contraction, and this presents problems for a game that you're trying to maintain as a live service, especially when you want to keep serving those core players with great, compelling expansions. As someone who would definitely consider themselves a veteran of this series, who's been there since the beta day one up until the final shape, I know exactly why the game isn't doing well. Firstly, the game is just far too expensive to keep up with no matter how you slice it. And when you compare Destiny 2 to its rivals, which isn't just Call of Duty or Battlefield mind you, but pretty much any other live service game, that includes things that are entirely different genres like Fortnite or even stuff like Path of Exile and more. Outside of Call of Duty and Battlefield, the vast majority of these live service titles have something in common that Destiny doesn't. Their content updates are completely free. If you go play Fortnite right now, they have new seasons that are brimming with content that is objectively free to play. You only pay for the cosmetics or the battle passes, but the actual meat of the gameplay experience and that content is again free to play. When you look at Destiny, it's the opposite. There's a free version of the game, which is bare bone elements that are allowed to be played, but all of the new shiny stuff is all paywalled. Like, think about it, okay? Arc Raiders has been out for like not even 2 or 3 months yet, but its player base is huge, right? And like the base game of Arc Raiders is $50 at release. After that, assuming Embark keeps their promise, any future content that gets added to Arc Raiders will be totally free to play after you pay that one single time to buy the game. So there won't be an expansion that is $30 or something added in the future. If new zones get added, sort of like Stella Mortis did already, it's just being included with the price that you paid to play Arc Raiders in the first place. If you ask me, that is how the future of live service is going to be. Even Battlefield Battlefield 6 right now, or even Black Ops 7. You buy these main games, if you will, right? But then all the future content, like the maps and the guns and whatever, the zombie maps in Black Ops, right? It's all included with your base purchase of those games too. Yes, okay, the battle passes are extra, I understand that, but the core experience that's all included when you pay that one single time, so to speak. With Destiny, however, it touts itself as free to play like those others when it wasn't originally anyways, but now it suddenly is, but it's also not free either. You still need to pay for each battle pass, plus every single expansion too, like Edge of Fate, that was $50. The same base price as Arc Raiders as a full experience for years to come, and looking at how poorly Edge of Fate did, I would wager there definitely is not enough content there to justify its price point, especially when you compare it to the entirety of Arc Raiders for the same price. With Renegades, as seen here on the Canadian PSN store, it's $40 for this expansion, meaning that if you wanted to play all of Destiny 2's 2025 content, you need to spend roughly $90 at least to play it all, and that does not include battle passes or episodes or anything else. It's just, this is not sustainable whatsoever. If Bungie wants to attract new players, they need to completely change how they function as a developer, and especially as a live service game going forward. I mean, these expansions should be free if you ask me, and the bulk of their money should instead be made via cosmetics like Marvel Rivals and more other games do as well. You can't reasonably compete with your dozens of competitors with Counter-Strike and Valorant and God knows what else, Apex Legends even, when you're paywalling your audience multiple times a year with price points that are asking for the same price again as entire new breakout hits like Arc Raiders. Like, you just can't do that anymore. Like, okay, let's backpedal for a second, all right? Apparently Destiny 3 was canceled, but now according to like new rumors, it's allegedly back on the table at Bungie and it is in active development again. I know, okay, it's a mess. Look, I'm not going to claim that this is true or not, but for the sake of argument, let's just say, okay, fine, all right? Destiny 3 is now in development right now, hypothetically, as we speak. What could Bungie reasonably do with a brand new Destiny experience that resets everything and asks all these millions of players to now return? Obviously, this is a video that is being made, so let me know in the comments what you think this hypothetical sequel could need to get you to come back. In my opinion, if a Destiny 3 exists, it needs to be like this. Either the game is just completely free to play from the get-go like Fortnite, Marvel Rivals, and everything else pretty much around it, or, and this is really the only realistic other option, you make Destiny 3 a premium title to buy, so let's say it's like $70 at release, but once you buy it that one time, you are not charged for any future expansions whatsoever or even seasons like all these other games do too. Yes, you can have your battle passes and your gun skins and cosmetic crossovers, whatever, all the things that, you know, Battlefield, COD, Rivals, etc., does too, but you do not charge people for future expansions that paywall and cut them off from the rest of the player base whatsoever. Like Call of Duty used to make you pay for like map packs, right? And what ended up happening? It just splintered off the player base into multiple different angles. They don't do that anymore because it doesn't work. And only if this then becomes the new normal for Destiny can it then reasonably survive, because players have very clearly refused to return to these games because of, again, that paywalling concept that is just blocking new players from playing it. Like, would I even check out Renegades? I mean, sure, maybe, but I'm not going to because I have to pay $40 just to get in. Why would I pay almost the price of Arc Raiders for an expansion that, again, once it's over, I have nothing left to do in it, and then I have to pay for another Arc Raiders price tag for the next experience again? If you want a game that kind of proves that this future is possible, I want you to go look at a game called Where Winds Meet. It's a Chinese action RPG that contains a massive open world with plenty of bosses and things to do. Winds has an entire single-player campaign as well as a multiplayer one that you can play too, that you can go play through, and there's plenty of content you can do with your friends and whatnot. And I already know, okay, you're like, I don't know, this seems shady. The game sounds like there's got to be a catch, but genuinely, honestly, there is not one. Not one piece of its content at release anyways, who knows about the future obviously, is paywalled or locked behind any sort of purchase, okay? You can go download Where Winds Meets right now and play its entire campaign, fight its bosses, level up your characters normally, do whatever you want, okay? 100% no BS included, and just enjoy it. And all the money that they make from this game is instead from their cosmetics, their outfits, their mounts, you know the deal. But the actual game, which is what you're looking at on screen right now, that looks genuine genuinely like a AAA $70 experience, it is completely and totally free to play. And where has this gotten this wuxia style game so far? Well, recently, Insider Gaming confirmed as seen here, Wins has hit 9 million players already. That's within 2 weeks of launch, and they had about 10 million pre-registrations before the game even came out. On Steam alone, the game is averaging somewhere near 150,000 daily players as well, which again is healthy and much higher than see what Destiny is pulling in these days. And you may be thinking, how can you compare these two games? It doesn't matter, okay? They're all live service. This is the point and the crux of the argument, okay? Where Winds Meet even has something like 20 or so unique regions like open world to explore with tons of mini games. Look, I'm not even sponsored by these people or anything, okay? All I'm trying to say and try to prove to you is that what they're doing here with Where Winds Meet is kind of the future of these sorts of things. And how can you look at all of that and then go look at Bungie and reasonably believe that they can survive when every other game out here in the same sort of live service sequel, like, doesn't even matter what genre they are, they're just live service games in general, none of them are doing what Bungie are like Bungie's doing, and it's obvious that just it doesn't work, dude. It doesn't work. Okay, sure, maybe it's not fair to compare Destiny to say Battlefield or Call of Duty, but you could still compare it to Call of Duty Mobile, and this all still tracks anyways. The point is that if your game is multiplayer focused and you are live service, you really only have two options now. You either make people pay once and that's it, and then hope that your microtransactions and whatever else I guess are good enough, or you just go full-blown free to play from the get-go. But this whole we're going to make you pay for each content drop like Bungie is doing, it just doesn't work. Nobody wants this model anymore. And it's a big reason why they're hemorrhaging players at an alarming rate. Can you imagine if Arc Raiders had an expansion in the future and they charged like $20 for it? It would just splinter off the players and the whole pay to win thing would be a nightmare, dude. That's why nobody does this anymore. And besides being free to play, let's say Destiny 3, okay? That needs to fundamentally change just how it works as a game too. They need to focus on PvE content like strikes and more replayable stuff and make PvP more of something they don't just abandon for years like Bungie already has in the past. They also need to stop drip feeding story content because it's more annoying than anything else, and frankly, Bungie needs to just move Destiny away from being story driven altogether if you ask me, and focus far more heavily on just making the core gameplay loop just fun to play. I know some people will say that's sacrilegious, but be so for real, guys. Come on now, look at their competition. Arc Raiders, Helldivers, etc. All of these games focus far more heavily on their gameplay loops than bombarding you with content where characters are talking the entire time while you're shooting things. I already know any real Destiny veteran at some point in their time playing the game have also turned off the voice lines like I have in that game, because you can only reasonably hear the same voice line so many times when you're like doing a strike or a raid or whatever else. Most players likely don't even care about the story. They just want cool loot to collect and shoot interesting bosses. Like, that's it. What Bungie also needs to focus on is ensuring a potential Destiny 3 actually feels like something new. I'm talking like new enemies, okay? Not, here's the Vex again, but they have some vines on them. Or look, it's the Fallen, but now they're dressed differently. No. We need entirely new enemy races, okay? Entirely new rosters, new enemy types, new places to explore, and you can expand the lore and all of that, say, in a Dark Souls-esque way, which they have done in the past, but hey, it still works. It doesn't mean you can't still tell a story that still matters in Destiny 3, but you can't make it the focus, and you also need to realize that the core crux of your gameplay, I can't even speak, gameplay loop is not story-driven, okay? It's always been the fun gameplay. Destiny's PvP was also fun back in the day. Now it's just a nightmare, okay, with all the mods and the powers and everything. Like, all the systems are working against the player to make their playtime in Destiny as pointless as possible, since gear now sunsets, and if you don't keep your gear up that you grinded hours for, it just becomes useless anyways in 6 months due to what Edge of Fate did. Not only that, but Bungie also just needs better servers, and by God, they need to crack down on cheaters big time too. The last time I played Destiny, I quit because every time I was playing PvP, I was being DDoSed by enemy teams to crash my router and my entire internet. Like, the game was rampant with cheaters, and it is a major problem. Games like Battlefield 6 and even Black Ops 7 recently confirmed that they have stopped roughly 97% of their own cheaters. But when I did play Destiny, it was like every other match, dude, okay? It was abysmal. They also need a far more robust new player experience that doesn't flood or push those players away with menus after menus and pop-ups of nonsense. They need to stop vaulting content all the time and sunsetting things. And to some degree, bring back crafting. Maybe don't let players just make the god rolls exactly the way that they want to, to. But for the love of God, at least let me weapon craft like I can in Call of Duty or Battlefield. Let me add a stock, a new red dot sight, how big my magazine is. Like, let me customize it like that at least. But knowing Bungie, they'd rather not do that, and I guess that's just another problem that would need fixing in the future. And they also need to basically just overhaul everything and completely change how they market these games, or Bungie will just fade away. And I mean, it's not even me saying this even. Look at Sony. They own Bungie. Back in November 2025, even their CFO even admitted that, like, look at this from Eurogamer, the acquisition of Bungie has not been profitable for Sony, despite spending over $3 billion on them, dude. That's a lot of money. Like is seen here from Sony's chief financial officer, they fully admit that Bungie nor Destiny has reached the highs they expected, and they are frankly very angry about it. Here's what the CFO said. While we will continue to make improvements, we downwardly revised the business projection for the time being, and recorded an impairment loss against a portion of the assets at Bungie. This is corporate talk for y'all are on the chopping block, and we are this close to making you all unemployed pretty much. And it makes sense why, because Sony is so mad about this, since as seen here that live service stuff makes up about 40% of their total revenue. That includes games like Helldivers and stuff like MLB The Show, to just name some. Obviously Destiny is in that pile too. Another game Sony brings up that in their report earlier this year was also Marathon, also coincidentally being made by Bungie, and also, oh, who could have guessed, also struggling behind the scenes. That game has apparently been getting fixed behind the scenes according to Sony. As they say here, they want to deepen the gameplay and improve the story immersion. Who knows, maybe Marathon could be a big hit if they somehow are able to pull an Arc Raiders-like move on that game, but that will only happen if Bungie stops screwing themselves over with moronic choices over and over again. I mean, Marathon, however, thankfully is not a full-price game. It's going to be priced like Arc Raiders, hopefully anyways. So this is the start of Bungie maybe realizing they need to change their ways immediately going forward, because the old ways are clearly not working. They need to get people to either pay once and that's it, or make it just free to play and keep people engaged with a fun game, like I can't even speak again, dude, a fun gameplay loop, and provide the cosmetics. That's really all you have to do pretty much, because this paid expansion stuff are just not really a thing anymore for the most part. Unless you're a single player game, then it makes sense. But when you have these games with PvEVP modes, the idea that two players could face in PvP and one has access to the new expansion stuff and the other one doesn't because like they can't afford it, yeah, that's pay to win to a T, obviously. Like imagine if Battlefield 6's first season costed you money to access the new maps or something at release. Like no, it would be a moronic move. But that's what Bungie has been doing for years now, and everyone in the live service space has moved on from this idea except for Bungie. And it's just burning holes in Sony's pockets because Bungie refuses to evolve. And they even proved recently they still don't know what players even want, and it's crazy that this is even true, but like look at this dude. This is from thegamepost.com, but Tyson Green, the director of Destiny 2 right now, fully admits that their recent efforts have failed and they have learned harsh lessons from it. Here's Tyson, by the way, it's this guy here in the hat, and I just gotta ask something here, okay? Like seriously, how are Bungie learning hard lessons about what players want in their game that is currently within its 11th year of being a franchise? That doesn't make sense to me. You guys have been doing this for over 10 years now with this. How did you not know what people wanted? People just want their time rewarded and their dedication not wasted. Instead, we have game directors shifting the game into almost cancellation and community managers who just fight with their fans all the time more than instead of fostering them. Like, it's a mess. Also, I didn't even know this, but in this article, they confirmed that Bungie apparently now has a 2 expansion per year mandate. Like, is that real? Because if it is, no wonder this game is falling apart at the seams. They're doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing. That means they want roughly $80 before taxes per player per year to play the content, not including battle passes and all of that. They essentially have been mandated by Sony, I would assume, to turn Destiny into like a yearly Call of Duty like release, but then spread that one release over the entire year, I guess, and it isn't working, and I'm not surprised. Like, just look at how Tyson Green worded his design philosophy. Here's what he said to IGN. We looked at the problem that we had after the final shape, and we said, we think there's a route here which is leaning into more systems of pursuit, getting new tiers of gear, armor sets, and power progression, and things like challenge customization, Tyson Green said. These things can allow a core audience of players to really say, like, I'm really going to take this game and put it through its paces and get good rewards for it. And then he continues, it sounds great on paper, but it didn't work. I think we've been taught a bunch of hard lessons about what our players want, and there were really 2 kinds of live games. Those that listen to the players and respond, and those that don't, and we don't want to be a dead live game. We want to keep building Destiny. So we're listening to our players, and what our players are telling us is that they don't want to chase a simple number that goes up. They want real rewards. Honestly, this all just sounds like Bungie is genuinely being pulled apart at the seams in multiple directions, and they're just desperately desperately trying to keep everything going but just can't. Because let's think about it, okay? Let's be logical about this. If this 2 expansion thing is their future, which is insane by the way already, this means you'll get 2 expansions plus they gotta make seasonal content every year, plus they are apparently working on Destiny 3, and they have parts of Bungie which are doing Marathon as well. How can they reasonably be doing all of these at the same time and not just have it all crumble apart? Like, it's just too much, and inevitably Marathon will need content updates, new maps obviously, guns, whatever else it needs, plus as players have been complaining about all year, this year of Destiny especially has been Bungie's buggiest releases yet. Tons of things don't work, and with a game like this, you can't afford that to happen. And it's clear they already are buckling under the weight, because again, from Game Post, as they also stated here, Bungie already delayed their State of the Game and roadmap into 2026 from this year too. Like, this roadmap was meant to come out a few weeks after September 2025. So about October this year, okay? Bungie then promised it would come, and then they just delayed it suddenly. Again, it's just too much. Like, I've spoken before on how Activision is effectively running Call of Duty into the ground, trying to get a new one out every year. And Black Ops 7 took something around like 10 studios to ship it alone. Like, how is Bungie able to keep all of this going? It's too many spinning plates. They can't, man. Things are going to break. Like, 2 expansions, 2 new games in development, plus that other one apparently called Gummy Bears. That's its code name in development too. So I guess it's actually 3 games actually. Like how are they doing all of this? I don't see this working. And look, I'm not preying on Bungie's downfall. I'm actually concerned for them. Like I said in the beginning, Destiny 2 is my most played game of all time. And before people think, oh, he's lying. Okay, fine. Here, I went on timewastedondestiny.com and looked up my account, and here it is. I'm sure you can on PSN. As you can see, apparently I have 1,600 hours or so in Destiny 2. Maybe for some of you that's peanuts, but for me, that's a lot of time, all right? And here's my characters too. As you can see on my characters, I spent 1,343 hours on my Titan alone in Destiny 2 and another 971 hours on the same Titan in Destiny 1. Then my Warlocks have amassed over 200 hours, and my Hunters did too. I played all the classes. Obviously, I was a crayon-eating Titan first, but still. And that doesn't even include the characters that I deleted and played for fun too, which is like another 100 hours at least. So as you can see, yes, I do play, or I guess play Destiny 1 and 2 a lot back in the day, not as much as some people I know, but still for me, it's a lot, especially for an always online game. So I speak about these things because I've played them. I've suffered through the highs and lows of Bungie's epics, all right? I think the only 2 times I stopped playing Destiny 2 or Destiny 1, whatever, was the first time when Curse of Osiris came out, because that was bad. I walked away after a single day, and then I came back for the next expansion, and then I played all the way through to the final shape. I beat that, and then I walked away until, I guess, right now. But I just can't bring myself into this knowing that I would need to buy Edge of Fate and now Renegades just to play it. It would be like buying a whole new game, not including the Battle Pass and God knows what else too. I just can't justify that either price-wise nor time-wise anymore. There's only so much time in the day, and frankly, Bungie has not given me a compelling reason to abandon everything else I play right now to come back to that absolute grind fest of a game. But in general, it seems as if for someone who walked away like I did, I made the right choice, because 2025 looks like it has been nothing but a bad year for Destiny hopefuls. Desperate Star Wars tie-in content, episodes received horribly over seasonal content, 2 expansions now instead of 1, which just means you now have to pay more but not necessarily get more too. And again, their community managers are just toxic. I dealt with one of their ex-community managers years ago in my DMs once. Like, they were insane, dude. And the other community manager they got is a hardcore, like, activist person who blocks anybody they disagree with politically. Like, it's just a mess, dude. Like, man, I'm glad I washed my hands of all of this, to be honest, okay? It's just not the Bungie I grew up with, really, and Sony definitely overpaid for what they got so far. If Sony was smart, they would probably pivot, give the IP of Destiny to another developer, let some cool single-player games or, I don't know, smaller co-op titles be built in that same universe, maybe? I mean, a Souls-like Destiny game would be incredible, and the resurrection mechanic there would make sense already with the ghost stuff. You could find exotic weapons and armor, have it play like God of War or something, but it's Destiny. Like, have cool boss fights, explore stuff. Yeah, that would be dope. Or they could take Destiny, give it to, say, Arrowhead and say, hey, make a Helldivers Destiny-like game. Like, that would be sick too. Really, anything but what Bungie has been doing would be better at this point. But the fact their best idea was, let's take the most apathy-ridden IP in existence with Star Wars and just toss it into Destiny is kind of crazy to me. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't play a game like Destiny for Star Wars. I play it to be Destiny. But at this point, this whole live service model is so tired, frankly, I don't want to engage with most of it anyways. This is definitely Bungie's last chance for most normal people to even return. If Renegades fails, the really only other option is that Destiny 3 rumor. But in order to actualize that, they would have to pretty much just abandon Destiny 2 entirely, focus everything on D3, and hope all those harsh lessons or hard lessons they learned can somehow turn this thing around. And if not, well, Sony's going to be laying off a lot of people, I guess. Time will tell, but what do you think? What can Bungie even do to get you back at this point, honestly? For me, they need a complete reset. Community managers, everything. Too much toxicity in that community in general that I don't think I'd ever really want to come back unless there was real change that happened myself. But who who knows? Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I've been talking way too long. Let me know what you think as always. And Bungie, good luck, because good God, you're going to need it, dude.